This is part 2 in my Blender Basics object modeling series for my students. This second one here is going to allow us to model a basic chair, a low poly chair that could be used for a 3D game. We'll cover tools like loop cut and extrude, and we'll be doing a technique called box modeling. And it'll also show you how to do multiple materials on a single object. So let's get going. Okay, I'm going to center my 3D cursor by pressing Shift C. Then I'll do Shift A and I'll add in a cube. Alright, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab GZ and move the cube. I'm going to go ahead and bring it up here in the air a little bit because this is actually going to be the seat of the chair. Alright, so I'm going to tab into edit mode, A to deselect all, and I'm going to make sure that I'm in face mode by clicking on this little button down here. I'm going to select the top face, GZ, and drag it down, and that's going to be the seat of the chair where the person would rest. Okay, so now for the legs, I'm going to use loop cut, and I'm going to press Control R, and you'll see as you go to the edge, you'll see those pink cut lines, and so we're going to want to make a couple of them here. So I could make them one at a time, or you could make them multiple, so I'm going to show you both ways. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do it this way. So I'm going to left click to make the cut, then I'm going to slide the cut, and you can choose where you want it to go, and I need one right about here. Okay, so there we go. And then I could go ahead and do Control R again, and I'll do another cut, and I could slide it this way, and right about there. So that's the manual way. The problem with doing it this way is that you're sort of eyeballing it. It's not as precise, and you have to do the loop cut tool several times. I also need a loop cut going in this direction, so I need a total of 4 loop cuts. So I could just continue doing this, Control R, and then doing it that way. Okay, so now I have these 4 faces in the corner that will allow me to extrude my legs. I'm going to undo real quickly and show you a little bit more of the precise way of doing it. So if I do Control R, and then if you scroll your mouse wheel, you can actually do multiple cuts. So I'm going to do 2 cuts, and I'm going to left click to place it, and I can slide both of them, but I want to go ahead and make sure they're here in the middle. Then once they're in the middle, then I can press S for scale, and I choose the direction I want to go, in this case the y-axis, and if I scale them on the y-axis, notice that they move together at the same time, and I can go ahead and do it that way. And that way it's much more precise. Again, I'll do it one more time. I'll do Control R. This time I want 2 cuts this way. I'll left mouse click to cut. I can left mouse click again to place the cut. This time I'll scale in the X direction, and they both go at the same time. I'll press A to deselect all, and I'm in edge mode right now. I'm going to go to face mode. Okay, so once I'm in face mode now I'm going to go ahead and select all of these 4, and I'll go ahead and I'll extrude those out. Okay, so you could stop here and basically say that you have a coffee table or something like that. And then there we go. But we want to go ahead and take this a little bit further, of course. Let's continue with these 2 here, and let's extrude them going back. And this is the seat back. Okay. So now we can go ahead and we have to decide where do we want the the backs to go from. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use loop cut, and I'm going to use a new tool that I haven't shown in class that's called bridge, and it's really helpful. Okay, so here we go. I want a couple of backers here to support you. So I'm going to do Control R, and I'm going to do 2 loop cuts here, and I'm going to go ahead and bring them up right about here. Okay, I just paused the video for a moment, and I was kind of thinking about what I was going to do next. I apologize, and I'm going to go about it a different way. I was going to loop cut these and then go straight across, here, but then I'd have to do the exact same thing to the right hand side, and it wouldn't be done the exact same way. I would be eyeballing it, and I want to try to do it as accurate as possible. So I'm going to actually undo the extrusions there, and just making sure I didn't have an extrusion. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to extrude, and this way when I have both sides selected at the same time, extruding, I can make sure that they're done equally. So now I can extrude there. That's going to be for the first one. Then I'll do another extrude, and then I'll do another small one, and then I'll do another one up here. Okay, and that way what I can do now is I can go ahead and I can take, say, these two, and I can extrude outward, and then I can take these two and extrude outward, and then I'll be able to show you that really cool tool called the bridge tool. Alright, so I'm going to bridge these together, and that's going to kind of join them together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these two faces, and then I'm going to select these two faces, and when they get bridged together, you don't need these faces on the inside because they'll be stuck on the inside. So you generally want to get rid of those. So with those selected, I'm going to press X for delete, and I'm going to choose faces. So now we have them hollowed out, and now they're basically ready. Okay, so now here's how you bridge them. I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to choose Edge Mode, and I'm going to Shift right mouse button and select all four. There are faster ways to select, but we haven't gotten to those in class yet, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this. And then I'm going to press the space bar, and that's Blender's search function, and I'm going to type in bridge, and you'll see right here it says mesh bridge edge loops, and when you do that, ta-da, there you go. It does it right there, and that's great. I'll repeat, so shift right mouse click, select the edge loops that I want to bridge, spacebar, it actually remembers it, bridge, and there we go. All set and done. Okay, so now all I'm missing now is a sort of a header up here, something that's a little bit bigger of a block, the headrest, and then I'll make the very simple little mat or cushion that you can sit on, and we'll do multiple materials. Alright, let's go ahead and do this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get back into face mode, and I'm going to select this top face here, and what I want to do is some modelers would go ahead and take another object, another cube, and they would just sort of plop it on here, and then they might join the objects together later. I like this to be one continuous object, and then I'll be able to show you another tool called Dissolve Faces, which is a nice little cleaning up tool. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to extrude this one face here, and then I'm going to left mouse click, kind of like in my column object, and then I'm going to scale it outward, and that's going to give me that. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to extrude again and go upwards for about the height of what I want. So that's about it. Okay, and then I'm going to take this face here, and I'm just going to G to grab it, and I'm going to be moving it on the x-axis, and I'm going to go out like this. Yeah, something like that. Okay, now let's talk a little bit of cleanup. So I'm going to bring it back just a bit. I'm not going to need this face right here because it's going to be covered up. So in anticipation for that, I'm going to press X. I'm going to delete that face. I'm going to now come out over here, and I could do something like that. And there we go. Okay, so you can see I'm not crazy about how that was modeled there, but this would certainly work. Okay, and there we go. It looks all right going around. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to dissolve some faces so you can join them together and you can decrease your overall count of faces. So what I can do now is I want these three, so I'm going to shift right mouse click and select those three, and if I press X, instead of delete, down here at the bottom you'll see these dissolve commands, and if I choose dissolve faces, you'll see that those three became one. So I'm just going to do that again. X, dissolve faces, again do that down here, and you really have to do it a side at a time. And there we go. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video and finish up. Okay, so I'm back. Now, you might be thinking, okay, well, if you dissolve those faces, maybe you should dissolve these faces. I like keeping these separate, so that way I can decide later if I want to, do some kind of cool little inset over here. So, for instance, let's see here see if this works. If I press I and I inset, yeah, so I could press inset just by pressing I, and then I could do E to extrude, and I could actually go in a little bit, just a little added detail. Alright, so now I'm going to make the cushion, so I'm going to select this face right here, and I'm simply going to extrude to go up a little bit, and then I might S to scale in, just something like that, really, really, really simple. Okay, so that's the cushion on this low poly. Now, by doing the insets down here, I didn't exactly make it low poly anymore, but it's not too bad. So this is for the Blender Game Engine. So now I'm going to set up my multiple materials, and I'm going to do two materials. One material for the overall chair, the wood color, and then one for the cushion itself. So I'm going to come over here on the right and click on the Materials panel, and you can see I have no materials. So I'm going to say New. I'm going to add this in here, and this is going to be Chair Matte. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and come out down here to where it says Diffuse, and I'll just go ahead and make it kind of a light brown color. And there it is. And you'll notice that the entire object becomes that material because there's only one material, so all of the faces take that on. Okay, now what I want to do is I need to create another material. So I'm going to come over here, I'm going to click on the little plus button to add a new material, and that creates a new material slot. And now I want to add a new material to that new material slot, and you'll see Blender names it in a generic way, and this is now going to be the cushion matte. And I'm going to go ahead and for now I'll just make that kind of a bluish color there. Okay, so now the way to get that material on here is you have to select the geometry that you want to take on that new material. So again, I'm just going around shift right clicking. Once I've got them all, I then come over here and I choose the material that I want it to be assigned to, and then this is the move that most people forget about. You have to click on Assign. Once you hit Assign, let me deselect, you can see now that it takes it on. So I'm going to press Tab, get back into object mode, and you can see the full object there, and there it is. It's ready to go into the game engine. Now you could use this in almost any game engine. We are using the Blender Game Engine in class, but that's it here. Of course, you can go in and you can assign more materials, and you can do some more decorative things going all the way around. And there you go. But that should be it for the chair. I'll see you in the next video.